Livia Ferraz built TechVision from the ground up, proving that success is earned, not inherited. But when she infiltrates her fiancé's powerful family disguised as a driver, she uncovers a betrayal that shatters her world. Can she outplay them at their own game? Before we get into the story, comment below where in the world you are watching from today. The morning light streamed through the large windows of Livia Ferraz's penthouse office. At 35, she had built TechVision from the ground up, turning it into one of Brazil's most successful technology companies. Today, she stood by the window, gazing at the São Paulo skyline, twisting the diamond engagement ring on her finger. "Ms. Ferraz?" Her assistant Marina knocked on the door. "The design team is ready for your presentation." "I'll be right there," Livia said, smoothing her tailored blazer. Success had come easily to her. Love, on the other hand, had been more complicated, until Rodrigo Almeida had walked into her life a year ago. As she walked toward the conference room, her phone buzzed with a message from Rodrigo. "Can't wait for dinner with my family tonight. They're excited to see you." Livia frowned. Excited wasn't exactly how she would describe the Almeida family's feelings toward her. Despite dating Rodrigo for a year and being engaged for 3 months, she never felt welcomed by his family. The Almeidas were old money, landowners and politicians dating back 5 generations. Olivia was new money, self-made, and they never let her forget it. After her presentation, Livia sat at her desk, thinking about the upcoming dinner. It would be the same as always: tense smiles, polite conversation, and cold stares when Rodrigo wasn't looking. "Marina," she called through the intercom, "cancel my last meeting. I'm going home early to prepare for tonight." At her apartment, Livia took extra care with her appearance, choosing a conservative but expensive dress. As she applied her makeup, her phone rang. "Livia, it's Isabel." Her best friend's voice came through the speaker. "Just checking if we're still on for brunch tomorrow." "If I survive tonight's dinner with the Almeidas," Livia sighed. "That bad, huh?" "Worse. Clara Almeida looked at me last time like I was something stuck to her shoe. And her husband Roberto barely acknowledges me. And what about Rodrigo's brother? Gustavo, he's the worst, always making comments about new money and how some people just don't understand tradition." "But Rodrigo loves you," Isabel reminded her. "I know. I just wish his family would at least try to accept me." After hanging up, Livia sat on her bed, remembering how she met Rodrigo at a charity gala. He had been different from other men she dated, kind, genuine, and seemingly unimpressed by her wealth. His proposal had been a dream, but since then she'd caught glimpses of tension when his family was involved. The doorbell rang. Rodrigo stood there with a bouquet of roses, looking handsome in his suit. "You look beautiful," he said, kissing her softly. "Thank you." She tried to smile. "Are you sure your family wants me there tonight?" Rodrigo's expression tightened slightly. "Of course they do. They're just traditional. They need time." "It's been a year, Rodrigo. I know, but tonight will be different. They're making an effort. The event is important to them, and they specifically asked for you to come." Livia nodded, not convinced but willing to try again for Rodrigo's sake. As they drove toward the Almeida estate, Rodrigo's phone rang. He answered through the car's speaker. "Rodrigo, where are you?" It was Clara, his mother. "We're running late." "We're on our way, Mother. About 20 minutes out." "Well, hurry up. The Santos family will be there, and you know how important this connection is for your father's campaign." Livia noticed Clara hadn't acknowledged her presence, even though she knew Livia was in the car. "And Rodrigo," Clara added, her voice dropping slightly, "remember what we discussed." Rodrigo glanced uncomfortably at Livia. "Yes, Mother. We'll see you soon." He quickly ended the call. "What was that about?" Livia asked. "Nothing important, just some family business." Rodrigo turned up the radio, signaling the end of the conversation. As they neared the estate, Rodrigo's phone buzzed again. "It's my father," he muttered, pulling over to take the call privately. Livia sat in the car, watching Rodrigo pace outside, gesturing as he spoke. When he returned, his face was tense. "Everything okay?" she asked. "My father's driver called in sick. They're stuck at the house and need to get to the event." "We can pick them up," Livia offered, though the thought of being in a car with all the Almeidas made her stomach knot. Rodrigo shook his head. The Santos family is already at the venue. Father needs to be there to greet them. I should go get them, but we'll be late. Livia looked at her fiancé's worried face and suddenly had an idea. Rodrigo, your father doesn't know my new car, right? The Tesla? No, I don't think so. Why? I could go get them. I'll pretend to be a driver from that new luxury service app. Rodrigo laughed. You can't be serious. I am. You go to the venue, make your connections. I'll bring your family and meet you. There later. Livia, it's perfect. I have a driver's uniform from when I did that promotional event for rideshare last month. Rodrigo hesitated. My mother will recognize you. Not if I'm careful. Livia was already reaching for her overnight bag in the back seat. I have my cap, sunglasses, and I can keep the partition up. This is crazy, Rodrigo said, but she could see he was considering it. It solves the problem, doesn't it? Your parents won't be late and you can handle the Santos family. Finally, Rodrigo nodded. Okay, but come straight to the event after dropping them off. I will. Livia kissed him quickly. 20 minutes later, Livia had changed into black. Pants, a white shirt, and a black jacket, with her hair tucked under a cap and large sunglasses hiding her face. She pulled up to the Almeida mansion and texted the number Rodrigo had given her. Your driver has arrived. Roberto and Clara Almeida emerged from the house, followed by Gustavo. They approached the car, and Livia lowered her window just slightly. Good. Evening, I'm from Elite Drive, she said in a lower voice than usual. Mr. Almeida requested our services. Roberto nodded and opened the door for his wife. Gustavo slid in next to her, and Roberto took the other window seat. Livia raised the partition halfway, enough to hear but not be clearly seen. The sunset garden, please, Roberto said crisply. Livia nodded and pulled away from the mansion. For the first few minutes, the Almeidas were silent, checking phones and adjusting clothes. Then Clara sighed heavily. I can't believe Rodrigo sent a car instead of coming himself. He's handling the Santos family, Roberto said. It's more important he's there first, I suppose. But I don't know how much longer I can keep smiling at that woman. Livia's hands tightened on the steering wheel. She's not right for him, Gustavo chimed in. Nouveau riche, with no understanding of our world. Clara adjusted her pearl necklace. I don't see what Rodrigo sees in her truly. Money isn't everything, says the woman wearing $10,000 in jewelry. Gustavo laughed. That's different. Our wealth has history, class. That Ferraz woman thinks her technology company makes her our equal. Livia felt her cheeks burning but kept driving, her eyes fixed on the road. You'd think with all her money she'd have better taste, Clara continued. Did you see that dress at the charity ball last month? I don't care about her clothes. Roberto cut in. I care about Rodrigo's future. This marriage would be a mistake. I don't know why he proposed in the first place, Gustavo said. He knows how we feel. Livia felt sick. She had suspected their disapproval ran deep, but hearing it so plainly was another thing entirely. Clara sighed, adjusting her bolsa on her lap. I don't see how Rodrigo still hasn't opened his eyes, Gustavo laughed. She may be rich, but she'll never be one of us. Roberto shook his head seriously. She thinks money buys tradition. Little does she know that deep down, Rodrigo is only with her for what he can gain. Livia's heart shattered. Every suspicion confirmed in the cruelest way. But the worst blow came when Clara sighed and whispered, if he knew what we were planning, he wouldn't have proposed to her in the first place. Without thinking, Livia slammed on the brakes. The car screeched to a halt in the middle of the road. Horns blared around them. What are you doing? Roberto shouted. Are you insane? Slowly, deliberately, Livia removed her sunglasses and turned to face them. Now I know exactly who. You are, she said, her voice deadly calm. The silence in the car was absolute. Clara's face drained of color. Roberto's eyes widened in shock. Gustavo's mouth fell open. Livia, Clara began. Without another word, Livia got out of the car, leaving the keys in the ignition. She walked away, pulling out her phone to call a taxi, tears streaming down her face. Behind her, she could hear the Almeidas calling her name, but she didn't look back. Her mind was racing, filled with questions. What were they planning? And most importantly, was Rodrigo part of it? From a distance, she turned and looked at the three figures standing by her car, looking lost and panicked. For a moment, she felt a flash of satisfaction at their discomfort, but it quickly faded, replaced by a deep, aching pain. Her phone buzzed with a message from Rodrigo. "Are you almost here? The Santos family is asking about you." Livia stared at the message, then typed a reply. "Ask your family when they arrive. I'm going home." That night, as rain poured outside her penthouse windows, Livia sat alone in the dark, her engagement ring on the table in front of her. Her phone had been ringing non-stop, Rodrigo calling, texting, begging to know what happened. She picked up the ring, watching it catch what little light there was in the room. The life she thought she was building with Rodrigo now seemed like an illusion. What were they planning, she whispered to the empty room. Tomorrow she would demand answers. Tonight she would mourn what she had lost, or perhaps what she had never really had in the first place. Her phone rang again. Rodrigo's face lit up the screen. This time, she answered. "Livia, thank God. What happened?" "My parents arrived in a taxi, looking like they'd seen a ghost. They wouldn't tell me anything. Are you okay?" "No, Rodrigo, I'm not okay," she said quietly. "We need to talk, but not tonight. I'm coming over." "No, I need time to think. Tomorrow." There was a pause. "Livia, whatever happened, I love you. Please remember that." She closed her eyes, tears falling. "Do you, Rodrigo? Do you really? Because I heard some things tonight that make me wonder if I ever knew you at all." "What are you talking about?" "Ask your family what happened in the car, then decide if you still want to marry me." She ended the call and turned off her phone, placing the engagement ring back on the table. Outside, lightning flashed, illuminating her face. The woman who had built an empire from nothing wasn't going to let anyone make her feel small, not even the man she loved. As the storm raged outside, Livia made a promise to herself. Whatever happened next, she would face it on her own terms. Morning. Sunlight streamed through the blinds as Livia sat at her kitchen counter, staring at her untouched coffee. She hadn't slept all night, replaying the Almeida's cruel words over and over in her mind. Her phone, which she had finally turned back on, showed 37 missed calls from Rodrigo and dozens of text messages. The doorbell rang. Livia glanced at the security monitor and saw Isabel standing outside holding a bag of pastries. "I got your message," Isabel said when Livia opened the door. "You sounded terrible. What happened?" Livia motioned for her friend to come in and collapsed onto the sofa. "I found out what my future in-laws really think of me." As Livia recounted the previous night's events, Isabel's expression shifted from shock to anger. "Those snobs," Isabel exclaimed. "And what did Rodrigo say when you told him?" "I haven't told him everything yet. I just said we needed to talk." Isabel placed a hand on Livia's arm. "And what are you going to do now?" "I don't know," Livia admitted. "Part of me wants to call off the engagement immediately, but... You love him," Isabel finished. "Yes, and I need to know if he's part of whatever they're planning." Livia's voice hardened. "His mother said he wouldn't have proposed if he knew what they were planning. What does that even mean?" The doorbell rang again. This time, the monitor showed Rodrigo, looking disheveled and worried. "It's him," Livia said. Isabel stood up. "Do you want me to stay?" "No, I need to face this alone." After Isabel left through the service entrance to avoid Rodrigo, Livia took a deep breath and opened the door. Rodrigo rushed in, his eyes red from lack of sleep. "Livia, thank God. I've been worried sick." He moved to embrace her, but she stepped back. "My parents won't tell me anything. They just said there was a misunderstanding." "A misunderstanding?" Livia laughed bitterly. "Is that what they called it?" Rodrigo ran a hand through his hair. "Please, just tell me what happened." Livia walked to the window, keeping distance between them. "I was the driver last night, Rodrigo. I heard everything your family said about me." The color drained from Rodrigo's face. "You... what?" "I disguised myself as the driver, and I heard every word. Your mother thinks I have no class. Your brother says I'll never be one of you. And your father..." Her voice broke. "Your father said you're only with me for what you can gain." "That's not true," Rodrigo protested, taking a step toward her. "I love you. Then what are they planning, Rodrigo? Your mother said you wouldn't have proposed if you knew what they were planning. What does that mean? Confusion crossed Rodrigo's face. Planning? I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me, Livia's voice rose. After everything I heard, I deserve the truth. Rodrigo's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and Livia noticed his expression change. Who is it? She demanded. It's my father. He wants to see me immediately. Of course he does. They're probably worried about what I might do now that I know the truth. Rodrigo looked torn. Livia, please. Let me talk to them and find out what this is all about. Then we can sit down and sort through this. Fine, she said coldly. Go talk to your family. But I want answers, Rodrigo. Real ones. After he left, Livia called Marina at the office. Cancel all my meetings for the next few days. Family emergency. Is, everything okay, Ms. Faraz? Marina asked, concerned. No, but it will be. Also, I need you to contact our legal department. Have them look over any involvement we have with Almeida Enterprises. Almeida, isn't that your fiancé's? Just do it, Marina. Confidentially. Livia ended the call and looked at her engagement ring, still sitting on the coffee table where she had left it the night before. Whatever the Almeidas were planning, she would be ready. At the Almeida mansion, Rodrigo found his parents and brother in his father's study. The tension in the room was palpable. What happened last night? He demanded, closing the door behind him. Livia says she was the driver and heard you saying horrible things about her. Clara exchanged a nervous glance with Roberto. We didn't know it was her, Rodrigo. How were we supposed to know she would do something so underhanded? That's not the point. Did you say those things or not? Gustavo leaned against the bookshelf, looking uncomfortable. We may have been a bit harsh in our assessment of your fiancé. A bit harsh. Rodrigo's voice rose. Father, did you tell her I'm only with her for what I can gain? Roberto stood up from behind his desk. Son, you need to understand, the Faraz woman is not right for this family. We were trying to protect you. Protect me? From what? From marrying the woman I love? From making a mistake, Clara interjected. Rodrigo, darling, we've been patient. We thought you would come to your senses on your own. What is she talking about, Father? Rodrigo turned to Roberto. What are you planning that Livia mentioned? Roberto and Clara exchanged another look. Tell him, Gustavo said quietly. He needs to know now. Needs. Roberto sighed. Sit down, son. Rodrigo remained standing. Just tell me. Very well. For the past 6 months, we've been organizing a merger between Almeida Enterprises and Santos Technologies. What does that have to do with Livia? Santos. Technologies is TechVision's biggest competitor, Roberto continued. The merger would give us controlling interest in certain markets that would directly impact Ms. Faraz's company. Rodrigo stared at his father in disbelief. You're trying to take over her company. Not take over, Roberto corrected. Strategic positioning. Business is business, son. Nothing personal. Nothing personal? Rodrigo's voice was incredulous. You're planning to destroy the company she built from nothing, and you say it's nothing personal. Clara stood and placed a hand on her son's arm. We were going to tell you after the wedding, once the papers were signed. The Santos family has a daughter, Beatrice. She's intelligent, from a good family. Rodrigo jerked away from his mother's touch. Are you saying you expected me to divorce Livia and marry Beatrice Santos as part of your business deal? It would be a beneficial arrangement for everyone, Roberto said calmly. Except Ms. Faraz, of course. Rodrigo felt sick. Does Beatrice know about this plan? Of course, Gustavo chimed in. The Santos family is fully on board. They've been patient, waiting for you to end things with Livia naturally, but recently they've started to press for more concrete assurances. This is insane, Rodrigo said, backing toward the door. I love Livia. I'm going to marry her. Think about your future, son, Roberto called after him. Think about the family legacy. Rodrigo paused at the door. If this is the family legacy, perhaps it's time for a new one. Livia sat in her office at TechVision, reviewing the documents Marina had obtained from legal. There was nothing obvious connecting Almeida Enterprises to any threat against her company, but something still felt wrong. Her phone rang. It was Ricardo, her head of market research. Ms. Faraz, I was reviewing those competitor analyses you requested, and something strange came up. There's been unusual stock movement around Santos Technologies in the past few months. Livia sat up straighter. What kind of movement? Large blocks being quietly acquired through shell companies. If someone's planning a takeover, they're being careful about it. Can you trace the shell companies? Not yet, but we're working on it. There's something else. Santos has been hiring executives with specific expertise in areas where tech vision is dominant. After ending the call, Livia stared at the wall, pieces falling into place. The Almeidas and the Santos family. That's what Clara had mentioned on the phone to Rodrigo. Remember how important this connection is for your father's campaign. It wasn't just about social status. It was about business. Her office door opened, and Marina appeared. Ms. Faraz, Mr. Almeida is here to see you. Send him in. Rodrigo entered, looking drained. Livia, we need to talk. Yes, we do, she agreed, remaining seated behind her desk. I want to know what your family is planning with the Santos family. Surprise flashed across Rodrigo's face. How did you... I run a technology company, Rodrigo. Information is my business. She gestured to the chair across from her. Sit down and tell me everything. Rodrigo sank into the chair. My father is planning a merger between Almeida Enterprises and Santos Technologies. They want to position themselves against Tech Vision. And they want you to marry Beatriz Santos to seal the deal, Livia finished. Rodrigo's head snapped up. You knew? I just put it together. Your family never intended for our marriage to happen, did they? I didn't know, Livia. I swear I didn't know about any of this until today. She studied his face, wanting to believe him. What did you know? Rodrigo, were you ever going to tell me about your family's plans for the Santos merger? I knew my father was exploring business opportunities with them, but nothing specific. And I certainly didn't know they expected me to marry Beatriz. He leaned forward. Livia, I love you, not Beatriz, not anyone else. But you're an Almeida. Family legacy matters to you. Not more than you, he insisted. Livia stood up and walked around the desk, leaning against it. If you had to choose between me and your family, what would you do? Rodrigo rose and took her hands. I choose you. I'll walk away from all of the family business, the inheritance, all of it. You'd give up everything for me. Doubt colored her voice in a heartbeat. For a moment, looking into his eyes, Livia wanted to believe him. Then her phone buzzed with a message from Ricardo. Shell companies traced. Primary investor, Almeida Holdings. Livia pulled her hands away. I need time to think, Rodrigo. This is all too much. I understand. But please know I had nothing to do with my family's plans. After he left, Livia called Isabel. I need your help, she said. I need to find out exactly what the Almeidas and the Santos family are planning, and I need to do it before they realize I'm onto them. What are you thinking? Isabel asked. They wanted to play games. Let's play. But this time, I make the rules. That evening, Clara Almeida was hosting a small dinner party at the family estate. Among the guests was Beatriz Santos, a poised young woman from one of Brazil's oldest families. Clara had seated her next to Rodrigo, who was sullen and barely participating in the conversation. Rodrigo, Clara said sharply, Beatriz asked you a question. I'm sorry, he muttered. What was that? Beatriz smiled patiently. I was asking about your work with the Family Foundation. I understand you've made some innovative changes. Before Rodrigo could answer, Roberto's phone rang. He excused himself to take the call in his study. Almeida speaking. Mr. Almeida, this is Johann Schmidt from European Ventures. A heavily accented voice said, I'm calling about your proposed merger with Santos Technologies. Schmidt, I don't recall scheduling a call with you. No, but our firm is interested in making a competing offer. We've been watching the Brazilian tech sector closely. Roberto's interest was piqued. I wasn't aware our discussions with Santos were public knowledge. We have our sources, Mr. Almeida. We'd like to schedule a meeting to discuss our offer. It would be substantially higher than what you're currently considering. Roberto glanced at the closed door. This could be the leverage he needed to pressure the Santos family into accepting their terms. I could meet tomorrow, he said. Excellent. There's a private room at the Grand Hotel. Shall we say noon? I'll be there. Roberto returned to the dinner, a satisfied smile on his face. Across the table, Gustavo raised an eyebrow questioningly, and Roberto gave a subtle nod. The evening suddenly seemed much more promising. The next day, Roberto arrived at the Grand Hotel at precisely noon. He was directed to a private dining room, where he expected to meet Johann Schmidt. Instead, he found Livia Ferraz sitting alone at the table. "What is this?" he demanded. "Where is Schmidt?" "There is no Schmidt," Livia said calmly. "Please, sit down, Mr. Almeida." Roberto remained standing. "If this is some kind of joke, it's not a joke, it's a business meeting." Livia gestured to the chair again. "I believe we have matters to discuss regarding your planned merger with Santos Technologies and your attempt to undermine my company." Roberto hesitated, then sat down. "How did you find out?" "As I told your son, information is my business." Livia opened a folder on the table. "I know about the shell companies. I know about the planned hostile takeover of TechVision's smaller subsidiaries. And I know about your arrangement with the Santos family regarding Rodrigo and Beatriz. What do you want?" "I want you to understand something, Mr. Almeida. You thought you could destroy what I built because I wasn't born into wealth like you. Because I'm nouveau riche with no class. But you underestimated me." She slid a document across the table. "This is a list of the companies I've acquired in the past 24 hours. You'll notice they're all key suppliers for both Almeida Enterprises and Santos Technologies." Roberto scanned the document, his face paling. "This is impossible. How did you—" "Money may not buy tradition, Mr. Almeida, but it does buy leverage." Livia's voice was steel. "Now here's what's going to happen. You will call off the merger with Santos Technologies. You will cease all attempts to undermine TechVision, and you will tell your wife that her plan to replace me with Beatriz Santos is over. And if I refuse, then by this time next week Almeida Enterprises will no longer exist. You've built your fortune on outdated industries, Mr. Almeida. I've built mine on the future." Roberto's hands clenched into fists. "You would destroy my family's legacy, the company that's been in our family for generations?" "You were willing to destroy mine," Livia replied coldly. "The difference is I built my company with my own hands. You inherited yours." The door opened and Rodrigo walked in. He looked from his father to Livia, understanding dawning on his face. "So this is where you've been," he said to his father. "Making deals behind my back again?" "Rodrigo, you don't understand." "I understand perfectly." Rodrigo moved to stand beside Livia. "I've spent the morning with our family lawyer. I've removed myself from all Almeida Enterprises holdings and accounts." Roberto stood up, outraged. "You can't do that. You're my heir." "Not anymore. I choose Livia." Rodrigo turned to her. "If you'll still have me." Livia looked at Rodrigo, measuring the sincerity in his eyes. "What about Beatriz? Your mother has her practically walking down the aisle already." "Beatriz knows it was never going to happen. I told her everything this morning." Roberto slammed his fist on the table. "This is madness. Both of you are throwing away everything. For what? Some romantic notion?" "No, father," Rodrigo said quietly. "For integrity, something you seem to have forgotten." Roberto grabbed his coat and stormed toward the door. "This isn't over. The board won't accept your resignation." "They already have," Rodrigo called after him. "And mother knows too. I told her before I came here." After Roberto left, Livia and Rodrigo looked at each other in silence. "Did you really give up everything for me?" she finally asked. "Yes, and I'd do it again." He took her hand. "I'm so sorry about what my family tried to do. Can you forgive me for not seeing it sooner?" Livia thought about all that had happened since that fateful car ride. Her world had been turned upside down, but perhaps it needed to be. "I'm still processing everything," she said honestly. "But I do love you, Rodrigo. I just need to know that I can trust you completely. You can, from now on, no more secrets between us." He reached into his pocket and pulled out her engagement ring. "I found this at your apartment. I'm hoping you might want it back." Livia looked at the ring, then at Rodrigo. "I can't go back to how things were. Too much has changed." His face fell. "I understand. But," she continued, "maybe we can build something new. Something honest this time. Rodrigo's eyes lit up with hope. Is that a yes? It's a maybe, she said, but she was smiling. We have a lot to figure out, especially with your family. We'll face them together, he promised. As they left the hotel, Livia's phone rang. It was Ricardo again. Ms. Ferraz, there's something you need to know. We've discovered additional investors behind those shell companies. It's not just the Almeidas. Who else? Livia asked, locking eyes with Rodrigo. It's someone inside TechVision, someone with access to all your business plans. Livia's blood ran cold. Someone she trusted was betraying her. Find out who it is, she ordered, whatever it takes. As she hung up, Rodrigo squeezed her hand. What is it? It seems your family isn't the only problem we have to deal with, Livia said grimly. There's a traitor in my company. The game was far from over, and Livia knew the next move could determine everything. The TechVision headquarters buzzed with activity as Livia strode through the main floor, Rodrigo at her side. Employees glanced up from their desks, curious about the man accompanying their normally solitary CEO. Everyone seems surprised to see you here, Rodrigo commented quietly. I rarely bring my personal life to the office, Livia replied. But circumstances have changed. In the elevator to the executive floor, Livia's mind raced. Someone in her company, someone she trusted, was working with the Almeidas and Santos family against her. The betrayal stung even more than her future in-laws plotting. Are you sure you want me here for this? Rodrigo asked as they reached her office. Yes, if we're going to start over with honesty, that applies to everything. She paused. Besides, I want to see if anyone reacts strangely to your presence. Marina looked up in surprise as they entered the reception area. Ms. Ferraz, we weren't expecting you back today. Change of plans, Marina. Please call an emergency meeting of all department heads in the conference room in 15 minutes. All of them? Marina's eyes darted to Rodrigo. Yes, all of them. And, Marina, Livia lowered her voice. Not a word about Mr. Almeida being here. In her office, Livia quickly accessed her secure files. What are you looking for? Rodrigo asked, watching her work. Access logs. If someone's been feeding information to your family and the Santos company, they've been accessing sensitive files. She frowned at the screen. Nothing obvious, though. Whoever is doing this is covering their tracks well. Ricardo appeared at the door. Ms. Ferraz, I've been trying to reach you. Come in, Ricardo. This is Rodrigo Almeida. Ricardo hesitated. I'm aware. Should we be discussing company matters with him present? Rodrigo has cut ties with his family and their business, Livia said firmly. He's with me now. Ricardo nodded, though he still looked uncomfortable. I've been analyzing those shell companies. The pattern suggests the person has intimate knowledge of our growth strategy. It could be someone on the executive team. What about your assistant? Rodrigo suggested. Marina seemed nervous when we came in. Marina has been with me for 8 years, Livia said defensively. I trust her completely. Sometimes the people closest to us are in the best position to betray us, Rodrigo said gently. I learned that from my family. Livia conceded the point. We'll consider everyone. Let's go to that meeting. In the conference room, TechVision's top executives were already seated around the long table. Livia noted the reactions as she entered with Rodrigo: surprise, confusion, and in some faces, alarm. Thank you all for coming on such short notice, she began. For those who don't know, this is Rodrigo Almeida. Some of you may be aware that we're engaged. What you may not know is that as of this morning, Rodrigo has severed all ties with Almeida Enterprises. Murmurs rippled through the room. Eduardo, the CFO, spoke up. May I ask why, Ms. Ferraz? Because we've discovered a plot between Almeida Enterprises and Santos Technologies to undermine TechVision through a merger. She let that sink in. Furthermore, we have evidence that someone in this company has been sharing confidential information with them. The room fell silent. Livia carefully watched each face, shock, concern, and on one or two careful blankness. Obviously, this is a serious breach of trust, she continued. I've implemented countermeasures against the external threat, but the internal one remains. Until we identify the source of the leak, all access to sensitive information will be restricted. Ricardo will be conducting a thorough audit of all systems and communications. This is outrageous, said Paolo, the head of product development. Are we all suspects now? Unfortunately, yes, Livia answered honestly. The information being leaked is only accessible to people in this room. After outlining the new security protocols, Livia dismissed the meeting. As the executives filed out, Rodrigo touched her arm. The woman at the end, Camila, I think. She seemed particularly anxious. Camila Mendez, my marketing director, Livia confirmed. She's been acting strange lately, cancelling meetings, working odd hours. Maybe she's worth looking into first. Back in her office, Livia asked Ricardo to focus his investigation on Camila's communications and access logs. While they waited for results, she brought Rodrigo up to speed on TechVision's current projects. You've built something incredible here, he said, genuinely impressed. No wonder my father wanted to control it. Your father underestimated me, Livia said. Many people do. Rodrigo smiled wryly. I never did. It's one of the things I love about you. Before she could respond, her phone rang. It was Isabel. Livia, I think I found something. Can you talk? I'm putting you on speaker. Rodrigo is with me, Isabel hesitated. Are you sure that's wise? Yes, what did you find? I was looking into Beatriz Santos, as you asked. She's been seen regularly meeting with someone from TechVision over the past few months. Livia sat up straighter. Who? That's the thing. It's not an executive, it's Marina. Marina? Livia couldn't hide her shock. My assistant? Yes. They meet at a small cafe in Jardin, always on Tuesdays, always at 3. Today is Tuesday, Rodrigo pointed out. A cold realization washed over Livia, and it's almost 3 o'clock. After thanking Isabel, Livia sat in stunned silence. Marina had been with her through everything, the company's early struggles, its meteoric rise, even her relationship with Rodrigo. I can't believe it, she whispered. We need to be sure, Rodrigo said. Let's go to this cafe and see for ourselves. Livia nodded, still processing the betrayal. They left through a back entrance to avoid being seen. The cafe in Jardins was small and elegant, tucked away on a tree-lined street. Livia and Rodrigo took a table at the back, partially hidden by a large plant. At precisely 3 o'clock, Beatriz Santos arrived, immaculately dressed in a designer suit. 5 minutes later, Marina walked in. Livia felt physically ill watching. Her trusted assistant embraced Beatriz warmly, like old friends. Their conversation seemed animated and comfortable, not the first meeting of conspirators. I need to hear what they're saying, Livia whispered. Too risky, Rodrigo cautioned. They might recognize us. But at that moment, another woman approached Beatriz and Marina's table, Clara Almeida, Rodrigo's mother. My mother? Rodrigo tensed beside her. What is she doing here? They watched as the 3 women huddled in conversation, occasionally glancing around as if checking for observers. We've seen enough, Livia said, her voice hard. Let's go. Outside the cafe, Livia's hands were shaking with anger. Marina knows everything about me, my schedule, my contacts, my personal life. She has access to all my files. How could I have been so blind? We still don't know the extent of it, Rodrigo said, trying to calm her. Maybe she's being manipulated. By your mother? Livia's tone was bitter. The same woman who called me classless? Who plotted to replace me with Beatriz? Rodrigo had no answer for that. Back at TechVision, Livia went straight to Ricardo with what they had seen. He shook his head grimly. It gets worse. I've been checking Marina's access logs. For months, she's been downloading copies of our strategic plans, investor presentations, everything. Can we trace where the files went? Livia asked. Already did. They were sent to an email account registered to Santos Technologies and copied. To one at Almeida Enterprises. I want her gone, Livia said coldly. Immediately. We should be strategic about this, Rodrigo suggested. If we fire her now, they'll know we're onto them. What if we feed her false information instead? Something that would expose their plans or throw them off course. Livia considered this. What did you have in mind? Tell Marina about a new technology. TechVision is developing something groundbreaking that would make the Santos merger worthless. Make her think it's top secret. A trap, Livia nodded slowly. I like it. They spent the rest of the afternoon creating convincing but completely fabricated documents about a revolutionary new product, one that would render Santos Technologies' main products obsolete. Livia made sure to emphasize to Marina the extreme confidentiality of the files when she had her organize them. "No one can know about this, Marina," she stressed. "Our entire competitive advantage depends on secrecy." "Of course, Ms. Faraz," Marina replied with practiced loyalty. "You can trust me." The words stung, but Livia maintained her composure. "I always have." That evening, hidden cameras captured Marina copying the files after hours. The betrayal was confirmed. The following morning, Roberto Almeida was in a foul mood as he entered the Santos Technologies headquarters for an emergency meeting. "This better be important," he growled to Francisco Santos, the company's CEO. "I had to reschedule 3 appointments." "Believe me, it is." Francisco gestured to his daughter Beatrice, who sat primly beside him. "Tell him what you found out." Beatrice smiled triumphantly. "Tech Vision is developing a quantum computing platform that will make our entire business model obsolete. It's already in the final testing stages." "How reliable is this information?" Roberto demanded. "Completely reliable. It came directly from Marina, Livia's assistant. She sent us these." Beatrice pushed a folder across the table. Roberto leafed through the technical specifications and market analyses. "If this was true, the planned merger would be a disaster." "We need to call off the merger," Francisco declared. "These documents change everything." "Don't be hasty," Roberto cautioned. "We need to verify this first." "There's no time," Beatrice insisted. "Once this technology goes public, Santos Technologies' stock will plummet." "What do you suggest?" Roberto asked. "We change tactics," Francisco said grimly. "Instead of merging with Santos Technologies, Almeida Enterprises should acquire Tech Vision directly, before anyone else learns about this quantum platform." Roberto nodded thoughtfully. "An aggressive takeover. But Livia Ferraz will never agree to sell." "She might not have a choice," Beatrice suggested. "If your son convinces her it's in her best interest." "Rodrigo has abandoned the family," Roberto reminded her bitterly. "He's chosen her over us." "Perhaps," Beatrice replied coolly, "that could work to our advantage." Across town, Livia was having dinner with Rodrigo and Isabel at her penthouse when her phone rang. It was Ricardo. "They took the bait," he reported, excitedly. "The false files were accessed remotely from Santos Technologies headquarters an hour ago, and we just intercepted a call between Roberto Almeida and their lawyers. They're planning to make a direct offer for Tech Vision tomorrow morning." Livia smiled, putting the phone on speaker so Rodrigo and Isabel could hear. "Perfect. And what about our other plan?" "Also in motion. The press release is ready to go at your signal." After ending the call, Livia raised her wineglass to playing the game better than they ever could. Rodrigo and Isabel joined the toast, but Rodrigo looked troubled. "What's wrong?" Livia asked. "I hate seeing what my family has become," he admitted. "Using people, manipulating, lying. This isn't the legacy my grandfather built." "I'm sorry," she said softly. "This can't be easy for you." He shook his head. "Don't apologize. They brought this on themselves." He took her hand. "I just hope you know that I'm nothing like them." "I know," she assured him. "That's why I'm still wearing this." She held up her hand, the engagement ring, back in its rightful place. The moment was interrupted by Livia's tablet chiming with an incoming message. It was from an unknown number with an attached video file. "Should we open it?" Isabel asked warily. Livia hesitated, then played the video. It showed Marina sitting at a desk looking nervous. "Livia," she began, "if you're watching this, you know everything by now, but you don't know why." Livia paused the video, her heart pounding. "Should we continue?" "We need to know," Rodrigo said quietly. Marina's recorded voice continued. 5. Years ago, when Tech Vision was still struggling, Roberto Almeida approached me. He offered a lot of money for information about your company. I refused. Then he threatened my family. My brother had just been diagnosed with cancer, and the treatment wasn't covered by insurance. Mr. Almeida said he would pay for everything, if I helped him. Livia felt sick. "Your father did this?" Rodrigo's face had gone pale. It sounds exactly like something he would do. On screen, Marina wiped away tears. I never meant to hurt you, Livia. At first, it was just basic information. Nothing that could cause real damage, but over time they wanted more. When you got engaged to Rodrigo, Mr. Almeida said I could finally stop if I helped with one last thing. They wanted me to help break you two up so Rodrigo could marry Beatriz Santos. The video ended with Marina looking directly into the camera. I'm so sorry, Livia. You were always good to me and I betrayed you. I understand if you can never forgive me, but I needed you to know the truth. By the time you see this, I'll be gone. Silence fell over the room. Livia felt tears forming. In her eyes, a mixture of anger and pity for the woman she had trusted. We need to find her, Rodrigo said urgently. My father might go after her if he realizes she's confessed. But how? Isabel asked. She could be anywhere, Livia thought for a moment. Her brother. If she was doing this for him, she might be with him now. A quick search revealed that Marina's brother lived in a small town near the coast. Rodrigo immediately stood up. We should go tonight, he insisted. It's not safe for her to be alone. Livia nodded, grabbing her car keys. As they headed for the door, her phone rang again. It was Ricardo. Ms. Ferraz, there's been a security breach at the office. Someone broke into your private files, physical copies, not digital. Marina, she guessed. No, the security cameras show a man. He knew exactly where to look and how to bypass the alarm. He took a file labeled Contingency. Plans? Livia froze. That file contained her personal emergency protocols, including the location of her remote properties, one of which was very near Marina's brother's town. Ricardo, I need you to do something for me right away. After giving instructions, she turned to Rodrigo and Isabel. We need to hurry. I think your father's men are already after Marina. The coastal road was dark and winding as Livia drove at dangerous speeds, Rodrigo beside her checking a map on his phone. The turn should be coming up, he said, peering through the rain that had begun to fall. About 2 kilometers ahead. Livia's mind raced with possibilities. If Roberto's men reached Marina first, they might silence her permanently. The thought of Marina, despite her betrayal, coming to harm because of her association with Tech Vision was unbearable. There, Isabel called from the back seat, pointing to a narrow dirt road. Livia turned sharply, the car fishtailing slightly on the wet ground. The headlights illuminated a modest house at the end of the lane, a single light burning in a downstairs window. As they approached, they saw a black SUV already parked outside. We're too late, Rodrigo said grimly. But as they pulled up, the front door of the house burst open and Marina ran out, clutching a small bag. Behind her, a man in a dark suit appeared, reaching for her. Livia honked the horn, drawing their attention. The man hesitated, momentarily distracted, giving Marina enough time to run toward Livia's car. Get in! Livia shouted, throwing open the back door. Marina dove into the car beside Isabel and Livia immediately reversed, spinning the car around. The man ran toward his SUV. He's coming after us, Isabel warned, looking back. Hold on, Livia said, accelerating down the dirt road. Marina was shaking, tears streaming down her face. How did you find me? How did he find me? My contingency plans file, Livia explained tersely. It listed this area as a possible safe location. Livia, I'm so sorry, Marina sobbed. I never thought it would go this far. Where's your brother? Rodrigo asked. At the hospital for treatment. I was getting some of his things. Marina looked at Rodrigo with fear. Your father said he would hurt him if I didn't cooperate. That sounds like Roberto, Rodrigo said bitterly. The black SUV was gaining on them as they reached the main road. Livia pushed her car to its limits, but the rain made the road treacherous. We need to lose them, Isabel said urgently. Livia made a split-second decision, turning down a side road that led toward the beach. There's a police station in the next town. If we can reach it, her words were cut off as the SUV rammed them. From behind, the car swerved dangerously. He's trying to run us off the road, Marina cried. Livia fought to maintain control as the SUV hit them again. They were approaching a sharp curve with the ocean on one side, "Everyone hold on," she shouted, suddenly hitting the brakes. The unexpected move caught their pursuer off guard. The SUV swerved to avoid hitting them directly, skidded on the wet road and crashed through the guardrail. There was a moment of horrible silence, then the sound of metal crushing as the vehicle tumbled down the embankment. Livia pulled over, hands shaking on the wheel. "Is everyone okay?" 3 shaken voices confirmed they were unharmed. Rodrigo was already calling emergency services for the crashed SUV. "Will they be all right?" Marina asked quietly. "I don't know," Livia admitted, still trying to process what had happened. Within minutes, the sound of sirens filled the air. Police and ambulance vehicles arrived, attending to the crashed SUV. An officer approached their car. "Are you the ones who reported the accident?" Rodrigo stepped forward. "Yes, officer, but it wasn't an accident. That man was trying to run us off the road." The officer looked skeptical. "And why would he do that?" "Because my father, Roberto Almeida, sent him to silence this woman," Rodrigo said, gesturing to Marina. "She has information that could damage my father's business dealings." At the mention of Roberto Almeida's name, the officer's demeanor changed. "I'll need statements from all of you." While they gave their statements, paramedics extracted the driver from the SUV. He was alive, but injured. As they loaded him into the ambulance, Livia approached. "Who sent you?" she asked directly. The man looked at her through pain-glazed eyes. "Just doing my job, lady." Was it Roberto Almeida? The man's silence was answer enough. At the police station, Marina provided a full statement about Roberto's threats and coercion. She handed over copies of communications and a recorded phone call as evidence. "Will this be enough to press charges?" Livia asked the detective in charge. "Possibly," he replied. "But Roberto Almeida is a powerful man with connections. It won't be easy." "I have connections too," Livia said firmly, "and so does his son." Rodrigo nodded. "I'll testify against my father if necessary." By dawn, they were finally released. Marina's brother had been moved to a secure hospital room with police protection, and Marina would be staying in a safe house until the investigation was complete. Before they parted, Marina faced Livia. "I know I can never undo what I did, but I want you to know how sorry I am. You gave me chances most people never get, and I betrayed that trust." Livia studied the woman who had been by her side for years. "Why send that video? You must have known we would come looking for you." "Because the truth matters," Marina said simply. "And because despite everything, I care about you, Livia. I couldn't let Roberto destroy your life or your company." Livia nodded, still unable to fully forgive but understanding better now. "Take care of your brother. We'll be in touch when it's safe." As they drove back to the city, the rising sun painted the sky in shades of pink and gold. Livia felt emotionally drained but somehow lighter. "What happens now?" Isabel asked from the back seat. "Now," Livia said with determination, "we end this once and for all." Rodrigo took her hand. "My father won't stop, you know. Not unless he's forced to." "I'm counting on that," Livia replied, "because I have one more card to play." Her phone buzzed with a message from Ricardo. "Press release sent. It's all over." The morning news. Livia smiled grimly. "By the time we reach São Paulo, Roberto Almeida and Francisco Santos will have much bigger problems than us." "What have you done?" Rodrigo asked. "I exposed their planned merger and the tactics they used, including corporate espionage and coercion. I've sent everything to the authorities and the press." "My father will deny everything," Rodrigo warned. "Perhaps, but the evidence is substantial, and public opinion can be a powerful weapon." As if on cue, Isabel's phone chimed with a news alert. "Livia, look at this. Almeida and Santos stocks in freefall amid fraud allegations." The game was changing. Now Roberto and the Santos family would be fighting for their own survival, not plotting against hers. Livia leaned back in her seat, exhaustion finally catching up with her. "Let's go home. Tomorrow is going to be a very interesting day." Rodrigo squeezed her hand, his expression a mixture of sadness and resolve. "Whatever happens with my family, I'm with you, all the way." In the growing light of day, Livia allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, they had turned the tide. But she had learned the hard way not to underestimate the Almeidas. The final confrontation was still to come, and she needed to be ready. The morning news played on the television in Livia's penthouse as she sipped her coffee. The headlines were dominated by the scandal she had unleashed: Almeida Santos conspiracy exposed and tech titans under investigation. The business community is in shock today, the reporter announced, as allegations of corporate espionage, fraud and coercion have been leveled against two of Brazil's most prominent families. Roberto Almeida and Francisco Santos have both denied the accusations, but sources close to the investigation confirm that authorities have seized documents from both companies. Rodrigo entered the living room, his hair still damp from the shower. "Any word from my mother?" "Nothing yet," Livia replied, turning down the volume. "How are you holding up?" He sat beside her on the sofa. "It's strange, I should feel terrible about what's happening to my family, but mostly I just feel relieved, like a weight has been lifted." Livia took his hand. "You did the right thing. Rodrigo, your father left us no choice." "I know," he sighed. "But I keep thinking about Gustavo. He was always more our father's son than I was, but he doesn't deserve to go down with him." "Have you tried calling him?" "He won't answer my calls." Livia's phone buzzed with a message from Ricardo. "Board meeting in 1 hour. They're nervous." "I need to go to the office," she said, standing up. "The board wants reassurance that TechVision won't be damaged by all this. Do you want me to come with you?" Livia considered this. "No, I think it's better if I handle this alone. Besides, you should try to reach your brother again. He might need your help more than you realize." After Livia left, Rodrigo paced the penthouse, staring at his phone. Finally, he dialed Gustavo's number again. This time, to his surprise, his brother answered. "What do you want?" Gustavo's voice was cold. "To talk," Rodrigo said simply. "Face to face. So you can record our conversation and give it to your girlfriend? No thanks, this isn't about Livia, it's about family." Gustavo laughed bitterly. "Family? You turned your back on us, remember?" "No, Gustavo, our parents turned their backs on decency." "There's a difference." There was a long pause. "Fine. The boathouse. 1 hour, come alone." The call ended abruptly, leaving Rodrigo with a sense of unease. The boathouse had been their refuge as children, a place where they escaped their parents' high expectations. Now it would be the setting for a different kind of escape, or perhaps a trap. At TechVision, Livia faced the board of directors with the confident poise that had made her one of Brazil's most respected CEOs. "Gentlemen, ladies," she began, "I understand your concerns. The situation with Almeida Enterprises and Santos Technologies has created market uncertainty." "Uncertainty?" Eduardo, the CFO, interjected. "Our stock dropped 15% at opening." "And it's already recovering," Livia countered. "The market is reacting to headlines, not fundamentals. Our company is stronger than ever. The press is saying you have a personal vendetta against the Almeidas because of your relationship with Roberto's son," another board member commented. "The press can say what they want. The facts speak for themselves." Livia pulled up documents on the large screen. "These are the records of industrial espionage carried out against TechVision. This isn't personal, it's business." By the end of the meeting, she had managed to calm most concerns. Only Eduardo remained visibly troubled. "Something on your mind, Eduardo?" she asked as the others filed out. He hesitated. "Just wondering if we've seen the end of this, or if Roberto Almeida has more surprises for us." "I've taken steps to ensure any further attacks would be futile," she assured him. "Good," he nodded, "because Almeida didn't build his empire by giving up easily." After Eduardo left, Livia sat alone in the boardroom, his words echoing in her mind. He was right. Roberto wouldn't surrender without a fight, and she had a feeling his next move would come soon. Her phone rang. It was Isabel. "Livia, I just heard something concerning. Clara Almeida has called an emergency family meeting. Everyone's been summoned to the estate." "Everyone except Rodrigo," Livia guessed. Actually, no. He was specifically included in the call. Gustavo reached out to him. Livia felt a chill. "When?" "About an hour ago. They're meeting at some boathouse first, just the two of them." "The boathouse?" Alarm bells rang in Livia's mind. "Isabel, I need to go. Call you back." She tried Rodrigo's cell, but it went straight to voicemail. Fighting rising panic, Livia grabbed her purse and rushed to the elevator. As the doors closed, she called her driver. "Rafael, I need you at the entrance immediately. We're going." To the Almeida estate. The old boathouse stood at the edge of the Almeida property, partially hidden by weeping willows that trailed their branches in the water. It had been years since Rodrigo had been here, but nothing had changed. The weathered wood, the faint smell of fish and algae, the gentle lapping of waves against the dock. Gustavo was waiting inside, sitting on one of the wooden benches they had carved their initials into as boys. "You came alone," he observed as Rodrigo entered. As promised, the brothers regarded each other silently for a moment. Physically, they were similar, both tall and dark-haired with the same strong jawline. But where Rodrigo's eyes held warmth, Gustavo's were cold and calculating. "Father is facing criminal charges," Gustavo said finally. "Because of you." "Because of his own actions," Rodrigo corrected. "I didn't force him to spy on Livia's company or threaten Marina's brother. You could have warned us that she knew. Given us a chance to explain. Would you have told me the truth?" Gustavo looked away. "Probably not. That's why I'm here now, Gus, to offer you a chance to get out before it's too late." "Out?" Gustavo's laugh was hollow. "I'm as implicated as... Father, I knew about everything, the merger, the plan to marry you off to Beatrice, all of it. But you didn't threaten anyone or steal information personally," Rodrigo pointed out. "You can still distance yourself, cooperate with the authorities. And betray our father? Become a traitor like you? It's not about betrayal, isn't it?" Gustavo stood up, pacing. "You chose an outsider over your family, everything we built for generations. Gone because you fell in love with the wrong woman. Livia isn't the wrong woman, she's exactly who I need. Someone who values honesty and integrity over power and status." Gustavo stopped pacing and turned to face his brother. "Do you really believe that? Do you think she would still want you if you had nothing to offer? No family connections, no inheritance, no last name?" "Yes," Rodrigo answered without hesitation. "That's exactly what I believe." "Then you're even more naive than father thought." Gustavo reached into his jacket pocket. Rodrigo tensed, but his brother pulled out only a folded document. "Mother wants to see you at the house. She's not well." Gustavo handed him the paper. "This will get you past security. They have orders not to let you in otherwise." Rodrigo took the paper, surprised. "Is she really sick, or is this another manipulation?" "See? For yourself." Gustavo moved toward the door. "But whatever you decide, brother, know this. Father isn't finished. Not by a long shot." With that ominous warning, he left, leaving Rodrigo alone with his thoughts and the sound of water gently lapping against the pilings beneath the boathouse. Livia's car sped along the coastal road toward the Almeida estate. She had tried Rodrigo's phone several more times without success. "Can't we go any faster?" she urged Rafael. "Not safely, Ms. Ferraz. The road is too winding." She sat back, forcing herself to remain calm. Perhaps she was overreacting. Perhaps Gustavo genuinely wanted to reconcile with his brother, but something Isabel had said kept nagging at her. Clara Almeida had called a family meeting. The same Clara who had plotted to replace Livia with Beatrice, who had made no secret of her disdain. At that moment her phone rang. It was a number she didn't recognize. "Hello, Ms. Ferraz?" A woman's voice, hesitant. "This is Clara Almeida." Livia nearly dropped the phone in surprise. "Mrs. Almeida, I need to speak with you. It's urgent. I'm actually on my way to your estate now. I'm looking for Rodrigo." "Rodrigo?" Clara sounded genuinely confused. "He's not here." He was meeting Gustavo. At the boathouse, there was a sharp intake of breath. "The boathouse, are you certain? Yes, is something wrong?" "Ms. Ferraz, Livia, you need to get there immediately. Roberto is waiting for them." Livia's blood ran cold. "What is he planning?" "I don't know exactly, but he's not himself. He's talking about making things right, about eliminating the problem." "My God, where are you now?" "At our São Paulo apartment. Roberto doesn't know I'm warning you, but whatever our differences, I can't let him hurt our sons." Livia ended the call and immediately directed Rafael to the boathouse instead of the main house. As they turned down the narrow access road, she saw two vehicles parked among the trees, Gustavo's sports car and an unfamiliar black sedan. "Stop here," she instructed Rafael. Wait for me. He looked concerned. Ms. Faraz, perhaps I should come with you. No. I need to do this alone. She grabbed her purse and quickly got out of the car. Moving quietly through the trees, Livia approached the boathouse. She could hear raised voices from inside. Roberto and Rodrigo arguing intensely. You've destroyed everything. Roberto was shouting. My reputation, my business, my legacy. You did that yourself, Rodrigo's voice answered, calmer but firm. I gave you chances to do the right thing. The right thing? You betrayed your family for that woman? That woman has more integrity in her little finger than you have in your entire body. There was a crash, like something being knocked over. Then Roberto's voice again, dangerously quiet. I won't let you throw away your birthright. I won't let her take you from us. This isn't about Livia taking me away. This is about me choosing a different path. No, son of mine, stop it, both of you. A third voice, Gustavo. This isn't solving anything. Livia crept closer, trying to see through the boathouse window. What she saw made her heart stop. Roberto was holding a gun, waving it between his sons. One last chance, Rodrigo, Roberto said, his voice strangely calm now. Come home, help us rebuild, forget about Livia Faraz. Rodrigo stood his ground. I can't do that, father. I love her. Then you leave me no choice. Roberto raised the gun, pointing it directly at Rodrigo. Without thinking, Livia burst through the door. Stop! All three men turned to her in shock. Livia, get out of here! Rodrigo shouted, but Livia moved forward, placing herself between Rodrigo and the gun. If you want to hurt him, Roberto, you'll have to go through me first. Roberto's hand shook slightly. This doesn't concern you. It concerns me completely, Livia replied, her voice steady despite her racing heart. I love your son, and unlike you, I would never ask him to choose between me and his family. You've already made him choose. No, you did that when you tried to manipulate and control his life, when you plotted against me instead of getting to know me. Gustavo moved slowly toward his father. Dad, put the gun down. This isn't you. Roberto seemed confused, looking from Livia to Rodrigo to the gun in his hand. I built all of this for you, for our family. And we're grateful, Rodrigo said gently. But a legacy built on threats and deception isn't one worth preserving. Roberto's arms slowly lowered, the fight seeming to drain out of him. What happens now? I go to jail? Almeida Enterprises collapses. Is that what you want? What I want, Rodrigo said, is for you to take responsibility. Make amends. Rebuild with honesty this time. Gustavo carefully took the gun from his father's hand. He's right, Dad. It's time to end this. Roberto looked at his sons, then at Livia. For the first time, she saw not the powerful businessman, but an old man afraid of losing everything he valued. You really love him, he asked her. Yes, Livia answered without hesitation. Not for his name or his position, but for who he is. His kindness, his integrity, his courage to stand up for what's right. Even against you. Roberto nodded slowly. Then perhaps I misjudged you. You did, Livia agreed. But it's not too late to start over. What do you mean? I mean that I don't want to destroy Almeida Enterprises. I don't want your family's legacy ruined, but I do want justice. And what would that look like to you? Livia looked at Rodrigo, who nodded encouragingly. Full disclosure to the authorities. Restitution to those you've harmed, like Marina and her brother. A cooperative approach going forward. And the charges? I can't make those disappear, but I can tell the prosecutor that you're cooperating fully, that you're making amends. Roberto considered this for a long moment. And what about TechVision? What happens between our companies? That depends on you, Livia said. We could remain competitors, but honest ones. Or we could find ways to collaborate that benefit both companies. Collaboration, Roberto repeated as if the word was foreign to him. I've spent so long seeing business as warfare, I'm not sure I know how to do that. I could teach you, Rodrigo suggested. If you're willing to learn. Roberto looked at his son with new eyes. Perhaps it's time I did. 3 months later, Livia stood on the terrace of her penthouse watching the sunset over São Paulo. So much had changed since that day at the boathouse. Roberto Almeida had indeed faced charges, but his cooperation and public contrition had resulted in a plea deal. Heavy fines and community service rather than prison time. Almeida Enterprises was rebuilding under Gustavo's leadership, with Rodrigo serving as an advisor focusing on ethical business practices. The Santos family had not fared as well. Francisco had refused to cooperate and now faced serious charges. Beatriz had fled to Europe to escape the scandal. Marina had returned to Brazil after her brother's treatment was complete. Though she no longer worked for Livia directly, Tech Vision had created a foundation to help employees with medical needs, and Marina was its first director. "Penny for your thoughts," Rodrigo said, joining Livia on the terrace with 2 glasses of champagne. "I was just thinking about how different things are now," she replied, accepting a glass. 3 months ago, I thought your family would never accept me. And now my mother is calling you twice a week to discuss wedding plans." Rodrigo chuckled. "Be careful what you wish for." Clara Almeida's transformation had been perhaps the most surprising. Once she realized Livia was here to stay, she had made genuine efforts to build a relationship with her future daughter-in-law. "Is everything ready for tomorrow?" Livia asked. "Yes, Father's press conference is scheduled for 10 o'clock. The announcement of our company's joint venture will follow." Tech Vision and Almeida Enterprises were launching a collaborative project, a technology incubator to support young entrepreneurs from underprivileged backgrounds. It was a first step toward a new kind of relationship, one built on mutual respect rather than competition. "Are you nervous about seeing your father again?" Livia asked gently. Rodrigo considered this. "Not nervous exactly. Our relationship is different now, better in some ways, more honest." "He's trying," Livia acknowledged. "That counts for something." "Yes." Rodrigo put his arm around her. "And speaking of trying, my mother mentioned that she's reserved the cathedral for June." Livia rolled her eyes. "We haven't even set a date yet." "Well, apparently we have now," he laughed. "June it is, according to Clara Almeida. Your mother is unstoppable. She's met her match in you." Rodrigo kissed her softly. "That's what I love about you." The doorbell rang, interrupting their moment. It was Isabel and Gustavo arriving for dinner. Over the past months, to everyone's surprise, they had formed a close friendship that seemed to be evolving into something more. "Sorry we're late," Isabel said, kissing Livia's cheek. "Someone couldn't decide which wine to bring." Gustavo held up 2 bottles defensively. "It's an important decision." As they moved inside for dinner, Livia felt a sense of contentment wash over her. The path had been difficult and dangerous at times, but they had emerged stronger, wiser, and somehow more whole. Later that evening, as their friends were leaving, Rodrigo pulled Livia onto the balcony again. "I have something for you," he said, reaching into his pocket. "Rodrigo, you've already given me this ring," she teased, holding up her engagement ring. "Not a ring this time." He handed her a small USB drive. "What's this?" "The recording from that night in the car," he explained. "When you drove my family and heard what they really thought of you." Livia stared at the small device. "How did you get this?" "Marina had it. She recorded everything, apparently. She gave it to me last week, said you should have it." Livia turned the drive over in her hand. "I don't need it anymore." "I know. But I thought you might want it as a reminder." "A reminder of what?" Rodrigo took her hands in his. "Of how far we've come, of how truth, no matter how painful, is always better than comfortable lies." Livia smiled, tucking the drive into her pocket. "I don't need a reminder of that, but I'll keep it anyway as a souvenir of the night that changed everything." "The night you became a spy," Rodrigo laughed. "The night I learned the truth in the back seat," she corrected. "And started building something real." They stood together, looking out at the city lights. The past couldn't be changed, but the future was theirs to create, one honest moment at a time. The next morning, as they prepared for the press conference, Livia received a message from Marina. "Watching the news, so proud of what you've accomplished. Truth always finds a way." Livia smiled, showing the message to Rodrigo. "She's right, you know. Truth always finds a way. Even when it comes from unexpected places," he agreed. "Like the back seat of a car." Hand in hand, they left for the press conference, not as enemies or competitors, but as partners in building something new from the rubble of old deceptions. The road ahead would have its challenges, but they would face them together, with open eyes and honest hearts. And on warm summer evenings, when the story of how they fell in love was shared with friends or family, it always began the same way. With a bold, desperate plan and a truth revealed in the backseat of a car, though the Almeidas had once seen Livia as an outsider who would never belong, they had come to recognize what Rodrigo had known all along, that true belonging isn't about where you come from, but who you choose to become. And Livia Ferraz had chosen to become someone who fought for truth, who valued integrity over convenience, and who never backed down from a challenge. As they stepped into the spotlight of the press conference, cameras flashing around them, Rodrigo squeezed Livia's hand. "Ready?" he whispered. She smiled up at him, confident and sure. Always. Together they moved forward to tell their story, not the one that others had tried to write for them, but the one they had written themselves. Word by hard-won word, the end.